In this talk we're going to learn about digital well-being, especially Android in Monochrome, and this is how it will progress. It's not a very long talk, so first of all pay attention to the top and the bottom, and we can see it's very much a colourful thing. We're going to talk about monochrome here with Android. So if we go and look at the next one, you can see that in yellow it says here, living in the age of distraction. And you can notice, and I'll just bring the other one up just for a second as an introduction. Look how colourful the calendar, Datali, maps and YouTube is. And the moment we bring it back down, you get this totally different, almost placid, calming feeling of monochrome. You may agree or disagree with that, but what's probably very common is living in the age of distraction. So how did this come about? Because if you look at our Android screen, what we've got is a very colourful image, we've got a colourful image of YouTube, and we've got maps. To compare the two in terms of a visual, this is what the monochrome looks like, and this can be achieved. Stepping back a tiny bit, a couple of days ago Google I 2018 opened up, and we've got Dave Burke on screen here talking about digital well-being in Android P. I keep saying Android pirates, but it's obviously not a pirate at this stage, and this pirate isn't even a food. So summary under the bottom, Sundar walks in, does his keynote bit, Dave Burke on Android, and then we're talking about digital well-being with Samat. So what happens is Samat steps on stage as a bit of a background, and he's talking about these features of digital well-being. One of them is a do not disturb. Then we go on and he talks about something where, that thing where you're supposed to go to bed at night, you sit there and you start checking your emails or just your phone for 2 to 3 minutes, and it goes on for far too long. So he says that in Android P we've got something called wind down. And what that actually means is that you can talk to Google and say, hey Google, set wind down for 10 p.m. or whenever you like. When that's activated, we've got a black and white monochrome calming, if you like, screen. Then what happens is he finishes the talk, wind down is over here on the right hand side. That was the background. If you want to re-watch this, you need to look at 2 hours 34:36. So the good news is that if you've still got Android 7 or before, quite honestly, it doesn't really matter. You can achieve this monochrome effect and see how it sits with you, not just at night, but any time during the day when you want to have a glance at your phone without getting super distracted. What we can do is go into Android settings on the left hand side, developer options, then scroll down quite a bit to simulate color space. The way I check it out is look for the word media, and then it's just above that. Notice that when you need to tap 7 times, you must turn on developer options. Then you can go to simulate the color space, and we can choose monochromacy. You can play around with the other ones, and if you want to get rid of the black and white effect, you simply turn the developer options off. So if we look at those side by side, we've got during the day or whenever with color, and then we've got black and white. It's a real calming effect where you can get the feeling of checking everything without getting engrossed. Or I think that's a really good slide because it just compares the two and sees the difference between this spring picture of a tree here with all the colourful things. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's move along to the tiny bit of background, and that is on the 18th of January I made a video called Android in Grayscale because I thought this was a good idea. Notice that the massive views of 62 views, which is pretty terrible, but I accept that my channel is very modest and it's snuck in all these other videos. But the point of it is when Google I/O steps up and says, here is a major thing for digital well-being. We can also call this living in the age of distraction. So this is the last slide here to say, my video I made, go and have a look at it if you wish to. Jocelyn K. Gly here wrote a book called Unsubscribed, which means getting away from email. The World Beyond Your Head, Matthew B. Crawford. Brilliant book about living in the age of distraction. He's a bit in there talking about us being pushed around like billiard balls on a pool table, if you like, being smashed around from one social thing to the other, and our head is spinning. One I like also is The Nature Fix by Florence Williams, which talks about us taking simple walks to clear our head. Anyway, the point is, the Jocelyn K. Glide newsletter looked at is going grey the answer. Remember, this was way back 5-6 months ago or whenever, and it says I switched my smartphone to grayscale, feels very different, yada yada. I will put the link in the New York Times to look at it. I think that's it, folks, isn't it? Let's just go back to the first slide and the end slide to say that was Digital Wellbeing, making Android in monochrome, but more importantly, not waiting for Android P, but you can do it right now in pretty much any Android following the steps in this video. Have a lovely day.